our theme song for this series that we're having, 10-week series, Many Paths to the One. We just introduced it last week, so get ready to sing it again. There's a different path for every river, where it goes, how it flows, slow and wide or rocky and rapid, ocean bound, on it goes. There are so many paths to the ocean divine, each one unique in its beauty. Every river makes its own way to the sea, so many paths to the one. There's a different path for every river, Spirit knows as it grows, calm and shallow or narrow and twisting, ocean bound, on it goes. There are so many paths to the ocean divine, each one unique in its beauty. Every river finds its own way to the sea, so many paths to the one. There are so many paths to the ocean divine, each one unique in its beauty. Every river finds its own way to the sea, so many paths to the one. So many paths to the one. So many paths to the one. Good morning. Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. We are switching over now to Carrie Hillary on the piano, master singer-songwriter. And we're going to be singing her songs. And please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing. There is enough. So repeat after me. Listen to her. Oh, we got to get her. I close my eyes. Get her mic on. Okay, we got Carrie's mic on. Okay, let's try that again.
I close my eyes.
I close my eyes.
Open my mind.
Open my mind.
And I look inside.
When I look inside,
What do I find?
what do I find?
A heart filled with joy.
A heart filled with joy.
Life touched by grace.
Life touched by grace.
I'm feeling love.
I'm feeling
For
love
the whole human race.
for the whole human race.
There is enough. Everybody together. There is enough. I am enough. I am enough. We are enough. Okay, now follow me. I let it go.
I let it go.
I open up.
I open up.
Embrace all I have.
Embrace all I have.
Give all I got.
Give all I got.
Open my heart.
Open my heart.
Reach out my hand.
Reach out my hand.
Sharing it all.
Sharing it all.
'Cause I understand.
I understand.
There is enough. There is enough. I am enough. We are enough. I close my eyes.
I close my eyes.
Open my mind.
Open my mind.
And I look inside.
I look inside.
What do I find?
What do I find?
A heart filled with joy.
Heart filled with joy.
Life touched by grace.
Life touched by grace.
I'm feeling love.
I'm feeling love
For the whole human race.
for the whole human race.
There is enough. There is enough. I am enough. We are enough. Let's do that again. There is enough.
We are enough.
Welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. My name is Holly Curses, and I'm so happy that you're all here and in this happy place. Thank you to Lisa and Keith for leading us in song. And join me in welcoming our featured musician, Carrie Hillary. Say hello to Carrie and purchase her CDs on the patio after the service. Carrie is accompanied today by Dusty and Larry. Thank you all for sharing your music with us. I invite you to turn your cell phone to silence or please turn it off altogether. And join me by turning to the camera and waving hello to our friends at home. Your presence adds to our spiritual community, and we appreciate you. Unity is a positive path for spiritual living. Our vision for the world is, let's say this together, we envision a spiritually awakened world where all life thrives in conscious oneness. Our mission is who we have come here to be. And together, we are a loving, inclusive community, expanding and living our divinity in sacred service for all. Our core values are, together, love, connection, service, and wisdom. I invite you to join me in affirming our statement of faith. There is only one presence and one power in the universe and in my life, the all-loving goodness of God. And I invite the ushers to come forward. If you're with us for the first time, I'd like to welcome you. Thank you for coming. We hope you'll choose to stay and meet some of us on the patio after the service. And if you're comfortable and would like to raise your hand now, an usher will bring you a welcome packet. And we have a newcomer back there. Welcome. If you didn't raise your hand, you may also pick up a welcome packet on the table after the service outside on the patio. Inside your packet, you will find a connection card. You may take it to the bookstore to receive a welcome gift. Once again, welcome to Unity of Walnut Creek. We hope you'll visit us again soon, and we're glad you're here. There are also connection cards for everyone else in the seat pockets in front of you. With this card, you can submit a prayer request, and our prayer team will pray with you throughout the week. You can also share feedback or request information. Please place your card in the basket with the offering later in the service. And now, please take a moment to greet the people immediately around you. Okay. As usual, we have lots of activities to highlight this week. Join Lena St. Michael this Wednesday, January 29th, for a workshop on heart-centered activism. In this workshop, you will have the opportunity to transform outrage to courage and compassion, be politically active with enthusiasm without hating or harming anyone, discover the joy of conscious, heart-centered civic or political engagement. And we have, again, Self-Care Day for Women is back by popular demand on Saturday, February 1st. Enjoy many classes and pampering services to nurture and stretch women's minds and bodies. Many pampering services are wonderful and only $10 each. Next Sunday, February 2nd, gather as a whole community with our Board of Trustees after the second service. Learn about our community's financial well-being and look ahead at what's to come in 2020, including the labyrinth and facility projects. And now, join us for food, fun, and friends at the Crab and Pasta Feed. February 22nd, we have our resident crabs. No offense. Volunteer signups and ticket sales are on the patio today. And now we have a special video message from John Garrett and J.D. Martin, who will be with us in 2 weeks. Go.
Hi guys, Jan Garrett here.
Hi, I'm J.D. Martin.
We are singer-songwriters from the mountains of Colorado, and we're really excited because we're going to be coming to Unity of Walnut Creek to do a whole weekend with you guys.
It's on February 7th, 8th, and 9th.
And on the Friday night, we'll be doing a concert called Better Angels, using new songs from our album that we just released called Better Angels. And on Saturday, this is really cool, we've got a really intriguing mini retreat for you guys, and it has a good title.
The Heart of the Vision Quest, Messages Hidden in Plain Sight.
Yeah, you got to check that out.
And you're thinking, I thought you guys were singer-songwriters.
We are singer-songwriters, but this goes deeply into what's behind all that creativity. Who is this divine love intelligence looking through our eyes and looking back at us? So if we know how to ask the right questions, and if we're open to the answers, everything comes into beautiful alignment. I will say, if you come to the mini retreat, you can learn a couple of songs with us as well. So
You can sing with us on Sunday morning.
Sunday morning we're doing a music and message, and that's your chance to be a rock star. So remember, guys, a whole weekend.
It's February 7, 8, and 9.
And we'll see you then, hopefully.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Well, sounds like a good place to bring your inner rock star. Please see Unity's newsletter, Centerpoint, for more information about these and other events at our center. You could pick up a newsletter in the bookstore or in your email box. It's easy to sign up to receive the newsletter. Just fill out a connection card in the seat pocket in front of you. And now I invite Reverend Kristen to the platform.
Good morning, everyone. And Jan and JD really are that charming, in fact, maybe more so in person, so we're in for a treat, right? So I'm lighting our Christ candle as we have a very special ceremony today.
She's not turned on.
She's not on. That's me, maybe? Did you do that? I thought I did. Hello. I'm on. Excuse me while I put my wardrobe back together. So I'd like to invite forward our Board of Trustees. Today's the day that we induct them. And they are, from the far end of the stage, Veronica Wolf, who's our board advisor, Mark Paulson, Tricia Linden, Danae Ligon, Dimitri Durankin, Alexandra D'Avalon, and this is our executive team. Scott Salzer-Smith, who's our secretary, Carl Jansen, our treasurer, Susan Angelos, our vice president, and the big cheese, Diana Messitz. So they're going to introduce themselves to you and let you know the spiritual gift they're bringing to the board this year. Oh, oops, we didn't pull forward the microphone. Sorry about that.
Where's the stage manager?
She's busy.
As president of Board of Trustees, I, Diana Messitz, bring the gift of service.
Sorry, stick my hand in the middle of you.
As Vice President of the Board of Trustees, I, Susan Angelos, bring the gift of collaboration.
As Treasurer of the Board of Trustees, I, Carl Jansen, bring the gift of kindness.
As Secretary of the Board of Trustees, I, Scott Salzer-Smith, bring the gift of organization.
I, Alexandra D'Avalon, board member of the Board of Trustees, bring the gift of wisdom.
As a member of a Board of Trustees, I'm Dimitri Daronkin, bring the gift of happiness, enjoyment. Woohoo!
I, Danae Legan, as a member of the Board of Trustees, bring the gift of calm.
I'm Tricia Linden on the Board of Trustees, and I bring the gift of joy. And can I just say, you are all so very beautiful. Thank you.
As a member of the Board of Trustees, I am Mark Paulson, and I bring the gift of patience.
As a board advisor, I, Veronica Wolf, bring the gift of clarity.
And as a board member, I, Kristen Powell, bring forth the gift of peace. Their gifts, all of them that have been spoken, feel to me to be completely right on for what each of you embody among many gifts. And so to the full board, I ask you these following statements, if you agree to them, to say with me, I am, at the end. So this is essentially what we agree to as board members in a nutshell. Are you promising to serve the best interest of Unity of Walnut Creek from the highest and best part of you, the spirit within you? Will you put your own spiritual development first in order to serve with both clarity and wisdom? Are you promising to act as team players with members of this board and as an inclusive community member, listening and showing respect for diverse opinions and expressions of God? Are you promising to seek spiritual guidance first and then to act and speak with both honesty and integrity? Are you promising to lead us in upholding the prosperity consciousness of our spiritual community? If so, as a board, let us say, I am. I am. And let's speak our affirmation together. This is how we close. We open our board meeting with a list of shared agreements, and the final one of those is this statement that we say together. And so we want to share it with you today. Together? We, the Board of Trustees of Unity of Walnut Creek, are dedicated to empowering spiritual growth and rendering genuine service to this community. And to all of you, as you see these lights that are before you as symbols of what we bring, our gifts that you have just heard, as each one has presented, and to remind you that we are called the Board of Trustees for a reason, because you have elected these folks and entrusted in them. And so it is a trusting relationship that we enter into. I ask you now, as a congregation, are you committed to supporting and nurturing our Board of Trustees so that their experience as leaders in our community will be both empowering and joyful for them and to the highest value of our community? If so, please say, I am. I am. I now install all of you and myself as the Board of Trustees in loving service to Unity of Walnut Creek in 2020. God expresses abundantly through your wisdom. Let's acknowledge and congratulate our 2020 Board of Trustees. While we're having a little set change, I invite you to begin to turn within, to get grounded as we move into our time of meditation. And our meditation here begins with some music, a little guidance, and then some silent time, complete silent time. So I invite you to sit back and enjoy as Carrie begins us with some song.
Mother Earth, full of grace, touch my soul, light my face, every season, each place, move my life, guide my pace. Mother Earth, full of grace, every heart a sacred place, filled with love, touched by grace. Hold us in your embrace. Mother Earth, full of grace, touch my soul, light my face, every season, each place, move my life, guide my pace. Mother Earth, full of grace, every heart a sacred place, filled with love, touched by grace. Hold us in your embrace, filled with love, touched by grace. Hold us in your embrace.
We allow ourselves to be embraced by Mother God. Feel that infinite and everlasting love pouring forth from the very heart of Mother God. this feminine aspect of the source that nurtures us and sustains us, that comforts us and inspires us. And the part of us as sons and daughters who carry forth these qualities of kindness and love, of nurturance and sustenance. It is in the everyday care of one another and ourselves, of our minds, our bodies, and our spirits, that we awaken too to the care of the Mother herself, our own shared earth home. Most of us in this room, now adults, like many adults in a lifetime, have the opportunity to care for our parents as they cared for us at one time. So it is with that kind of love and tenderness and care that we turn together as mature adults, as spiritual adults, to work together across all lines of faith, ethnicity, and whatever else we see as other. Thank you, God. Thank you, Goddess. Thank you, Mother, Father, Source, Friend, for all the resources and gifts that we are given day after day, for the food on our table, for the clean water, for the solid earth beneath our feet, for each other. Everything is holy. Feel the holiness now within you, behind you, in front of you, all around, filling this room, filling every cell, every thought. And rest now in the holiness of all we've been given and all we vow to share and give back freely and easily, joyfully. Let us rest now and receive in the silence. Let us receive fully that gift of grace, the unconditional love of our Mother God's source. And continue to let that guide our days with gratitude and joy and service. And so it is.
Mother Earth, full of grace, touch my soul, light my face, every season, each place, move my life, guide my pace. Mother Earth, full of grace, every heart a sacred place, filled with love, touched by grace. Hold us in your embrace, filled with love, touched by grace. Hold us in your embrace. She's the earth, she's our mother. She loves us and we love her for providing us with everything we need. She holds tremendous power. When she shakes, we run, we cower. There are times when she has brought us to our knees. Through it all, she will embrace us, shine the warm sun on our faces, teaching us to be the best that we can be. Oh, Mother, our Mother, teach us how to give as we receive. We know we cannot replace her. Sometimes it's hard to face her, recognizing our destructive deeds. Our own words will be reflected when we show her she's respected, as we learn to tread more lightly and believe. Through it all, she will embrace us, shine the warm sun on our faces, teaching us to be the best that we can be. Oh, Mother, our Mother, teach us how to give as we receive. We were born to love each other, father, mother, sister, brother. Look into your heart and you will see Mother Earth lives deep inside you. Be still, let her guide you. Listen and we'll find that inner peace. Through it all, she will embrace us, shine the warm sun on our faces, teaching us to be the best that we can be. Oh, Mother, our Mother, teach us how to give as we receive. Protect us, teach us how to believe.
This reading is called The Charge of the Goddess by Doreen Valentine and adopted by Starhawk. Listen to the words of the Great Mother, who of old was called Artemis, Astarte, Dion, Musoline, Aphrodite, Caradwin, Diana, Enarad, Brigid, and by many other names.
Whenever you have need of anything, once a month, and better it be when the moon is full, you shall assemble in some secret place and adore the spirit of me, who is queen of all the wise.
You shall be free from slavery, and as a sign that you be free, you shall be naked in your rights.
Sing, feast, dance, make music and love, all in my presence. For mine is the ecstasy of spirit, and mine is also joy on earth.
For my law is love, is unto all beings. Mine is the secret that opens the door of youth.
And mine is the cup of wine of life that is the cauldron of Caradwin. That is the holy grail of immortality. I give the knowledge of the Spirit eternal, and beyond death I give peace and freedom and reunion with those who have gone before.
Nor do I demand aught sacrifice, for behold, I am the mother of all things, and my love is poured upon the earth.
Hear the words of the star goddess, the dust on whose feet are the hosts of heaven, whose body encircles the universe.
I, who am the beauty of the green earth and the white moon among the stars and the mysteries of the waters,
I call upon your soul to arise and come unto me, for I am the soul of nature that gives life to the universe.
from me all things proceed, and unto me they must return.
Let my worship be in the heart that rejoices, for behold, all acts of love and pleasure are my rituals.
Let there be beauty and strength, power and compassion, honor and humility, mirth and reverence within you.
And you who seek to know me, know that seeking and yearning will avail you not, unless you know the mystery.
For if that which you seek you find not within yourself, you will never find it without.
For behold, I have been with you from the beginning, and I am that
which is attained
at the end of desire.
Blessed
be.
Blessed be.
Weren't they lovely? That's our, yeah. Carolyn as our crone, and Michelle as our mother, and Claire as our very young maiden. She's 8. She did a great job. So we are in a series now in our second part of a 10-week series, actually. Under the umbrella of the Season for Nonviolence that we are honoring is this series called Many Paths to the One. And each week we are focused on one of the faith traditions or several within one, different ways that we are looking at joining together and understanding, expanding our understanding, and spreading peace through greater understanding of one another's faiths. And you might be surprised at some of the ways that you share ideals and practices and values of faiths that maybe you didn't know about. So today, as we talk about the earth, it's really the holiness of everything. I think of that, one of my favorite songs by Peter Meyer, Everything is Holy Now. In it, he tells a story of when he was a boy in Catholic school, and he thought, basically that was holiness, was when he was just at church, and then it sort of spread out, and now he realizes everything is holy now.
And it's that awakening, that recognition that everything in everyday life has a sacredness in it, even in the seemingly mundane. That our bodies are a part of that sacredness. In fact, our bodies are very much the earth. And so how we treat our body is how we treat the earth, and how we treat the earth as we treat our bodies, all one and the same. We are made of that water. We are made of that earth. We are made of that air and that fire. And so this journey is really encompassing anything that might fall under the idea of earth-based, which is a big umbrella, and I'm only going to touch on a few aspects of that today. But I think if there's any faith tradition for our times, it would be the ones that belong to this kind of earth-based, nature-loving, as Trey always says. She's not here now, but I think I can safely say it. She always introduces herself as a tree-hugging dirt worshiper. And a unitic, of course. And so it's that kind of recognition that everything is holy, once again. And I think it is this type of tradition, if none other, that we need the most right now, right? To care for our earth, to address the issues around climate change, and to really turn things around as we can, working together in collaboration. And it's up to traditions like ours in Unity, who are open-minded, who are welcoming, to really listen and educate ourselves and reach across, to join together, to join hands, and to really make a difference in our world. We can do this, and it takes the knowledge and the wisdom from each other's traditions, the practices from each other's traditions, to really allow us to work together in an effective way to address the challenges that are before us. So we are allies in the eco-spirituality, the awakening, the worldwide awakening to eco-spirituality. And it's that often it is the spiritual path, sometimes that causes the problems, but that also holds the solutions, the religions of the world, and the faith traditions and the wisdom traditions of the world. So today my intent is also to debunk some myths that we might still be holding, and to allow us to learn a little bit more and to expand our understanding, to widen our borders, or maybe even erase them completely. We'll see where we go. The primal faiths is often the way that some of the earth-based different traditions are named. Houston Smith talks about it in that way in his book, The World Religions, that we're using as a reference in our class. And in that, he talks about primal as, it's called primal because it's first. It's those who came first, very much like we might call indigenous folks First Nations people. So it's those who were here at the beginning, the religions and the peoples and the traditions that came first. And it is, he names 3 characteristics that really are, across all these different primal religions, are in common. One is that the traditions are oral traditions. So we, the many religions we know of today, like Christianity and Judaism and Islam, are all literature-based, really, scripture-based. So it's the scripture that informs the religion. In this case, the religions will influence the literature and the art and so on, but it's mostly an oral tradition, not a written one. And so it's that oral art of storytelling that is a big part of what keeps alive the teachings and the ideals and the hearts engaged in whatever it is that wants to be shared. One such example is a story called The Salt Child, and it comes from a book called Soul Food, actually, that Tyler gifted me with. It's by Jack Kornfield and Christina Feldman, and they work together to pull together different stories from all around the world, different faith traditions. This one is called a traditional story. In the Salt Child story, there is a young boy, and he's made of salt. And he wants to know who he is. And so he travels all over the earth, to all the ends of the earth. He goes up into the mountains, and he goes deep into the forest. He goes all over, and he can't seem to really get this idea of who really am I? And so he asks, and he walks, and he intends, and he travels, and he meets other people, and he goes all to the ends of the earth. But he hasn't yet, until this one day, come to the edge of the ocean. If you remember the first time you saw the ocean, you might feel a little bit like the salt child did. Wow. The vastness, the beauty, the pull, the smell, the crashing sound of the waves, all of that is a part of that just wonderful experience of being there for the first time. And when the salt child saw the ocean, he cried out with joy, and he moved closer to it, and he dipped a toe in the water, like many of us might dare to do in San Francisco, right? And the ocean beckoned him in further. Don't be afraid, come in further. And so he began to walk further into the ocean, and the further he walked, he dissolved. And he said, now I know who I am. And so it is for us that we return home again and again upon the earth. When we go to those high places and we see as God sees the bigger picture, when we go to the ocean and we feel the Mother Ocean, that rhythmic idea of Mother Ocean who carries us, or who sometimes fiercely crashes against the earth, against the shore. And so however it is that we might experience the standing talls, as the indigenous people would call the trees, and that comes from, indigenous means native, and so those religions that have that idea of ancestors is so important. Ancestry and veneration of the ancestors is absolutely key. Even the plants, the animals, the trees, the rocks, all have a spirit in them called animism, which is something that idea is shared across many of these earth-based religions, probably common to all of them. So all of that is a part of it. So this first idea of oral is part of primal religions. And then the second thing that Houston Smith points out is the idea of time. That time is not linear like most of us, operate on, this idea of chronos time and linear time, but it's actually more of a felt eternal now. It's, as the Aboriginals would say, ever when. And the ever when is the constant now, right? So the constant now. And so we live in that sense of eternity. And at the same time, we can go back to the ancestors that are so revered because it gets us closer to the source. That's the idea why ancestors are so revered, because if they came before us, then they're closer to the source, is the belief. And so there is a belief that holds them up as closer to that divinity, as knowing more or remembering more from that divinity. There's an old story of Black Elk playing on all fours as he got to be an older man. He was a Sioux chief, a very well-known Sioux chief, and he would play with his grandchildren on the floor, and he would say, "We are getting very close. I am returning to the place from which you have come." And so it's that kind of reverence for life. Time is not linear, it's cyclical. It's based on the natural rhythms of Earth, the pull of the tides that shift the moon. It's based on how the sun and how the Earth moves around the sun. It's based on the rhythms of the seasons and the cycles and the circles. And we all know that when we pay close attention to our own rhythms, that we take better care of ourselves, that we feel more in the flow. Anybody notice that? When you are tired and you sleep, you feel refreshed. When you are hungry and you eat, you feel fulfilled. And yet so often we create a different kind of society that pushes away those natural rhythms and cycles. So very much the earth-based religions helps us come into that flow, come into that natural rhythm. One of the primal religions that Houston Smith talks about as really the existing one on planet Earth now that is really still very pure from that first people's time is the Aboriginal people in Australia, because they never had that Neolithic period of tools and farming techniques introduced. And so it's always remained in this very pure state. And right now, while Australia is burning, it is the Aboriginal people and their practices with fire that are finally, in 2020, being listened to when it comes to this, right? And so this is Violet Lawson. She's an Aboriginal woman who her family regularly does these very intentional burns, and they know how to work with fire. They say fire is not necessarily to be feared. Fire is an element to be revered, to be respected, and you fight fire with fire. You prevent fire, you work with fire in a way that is working with the landscape. So now scientists and local authorities are beginning to pay more attention to the ways of our Aboriginals that have always been. And that has effects for us too, even in California, to listen to those very close to the earth ways of being. So he says about oral tradition and the eternity of time. And then the third thing he points out that all primal religions share is a sense of place. So it's not just space, but place, that place is sacred. Like the Mount Diablo is sacred to the Ohlone people in this area. Place is a really sacred place of ceremony. It's a place of reverence. It matters. And when we care about place, we pay a lot of attention to the detail of place, to the markings on the tree, to the rhythms of the changing leaves, to the growth of the plant, to the animals around us, to all of that. We pay attention to place. So those are some of the key things that come from these religions. All of them tend to share a reverence and a practice of art, of sacred art, of symbolism being really important. As the Aboriginals talk about dream time and shamanic journeying, all of these can be a part of the earth-based religions. There's another religion that falls under this umbrella that's called pagan or paganism. And I wonder what you think in your mind when you hear the word pagan. Curious if anybody wants to share. Christmas. Okay. Anybody else? Yeah. Witchcraft. Okay, and there was something over there. Botchery. Uh-huh. Debauchery. Okay. Seasons. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Affirmation of life. 13-month calendar. Magic. Primitive. Okay, great. These are some really good words. Some people will say non-believer, non-Christian, right? Because you've heard that very successful public education political smear campaign. And you know where it comes from is that the root of pagan is a Latin word root, and all it means is villager or rustic or civilian. But at the time that Christianity wanted soldiers for the cause, soldiers for Christ, they divided themselves up between the incompetent soldiers, i.e. the pagans, and the soldiers who were really willing to go to war for the religion and the spread of the religion. So it's from those very early beginnings that these ideas come, and then they get so widespread that we might not even think about it, right? So there's a lot that we can do to educate ourselves to be more welcoming. So do you know what the fastest growing religion is in America? Paganism. I don't know. I heard a lot of different things, but I did hear paganism, and that's it. By far and away, the largest growing religion in America. And a lot of young people, a lot of millennials are really drawn to it. And it can't be divorced from the care that we have for the environment. So it's the coming together of the care for our world, the care for our Mother Earth, the care for our future, that these spiritual practices and ideas are being infused. So I was educating myself yesterday on neo-paganism. Neo-paganism is just a term used for paganism being revived and adapted for modern times. And I read through all these ideals and precepts of neo-paganism, and I aligned with every single one of them, completely resonated. And I sort of had an aha, jaw-dropping moment. I think I'm a neo-pagan. Wow. Just figured it out yesterday. So I know we have a lot to learn. I know we have a lot to open up to together on this journey. When I was on retreat in November, the Spirit gave me this word to be my intention for the retreat. It was a silent retreat, and the word was enchantment. And this has been the quote that I've had on my email ever since by Thomas More. The soul has an absolute, unforgiving need for regular excursions into enchantment. It requires them like the body needs food and like the mind needs thought. Enchantment. Enchantment and re-enchantment with our world, with each other, with all that we are as human divine beings is really something that is called for and that can really shift the tide for us, if you will. So one can be a Christian and a pagan, a Hindu and a pagan, a Jew and a pagan, a Muslim and a pagan, or all of these things. We can be all of these things. They are not mutually exclusive. So one of the things that somebody said was witches is what they think of when you think of pagans. So you might say, well, I can get with all of that except this one, That part, boy, what do we think of witches? We think of, ugly Halloween, scary, green-faced, usually female images, right? With a mean little, cruel cackle and like I used to try to scare my sister, like, sort of like scary little cackle in the night, It's that kind of sense, though, that we have, right, of what a witch is. And, of course, we know that the history is that witches, mostly with good intentions, were healers and wise women that were being completely oppressed, persecuted, and even widely burned at the stake. And so today, finally, in 2020, maybe we'll awaken that that might not be the case. That witches are evil, that witches are bad, that witches are ugly. In fact, they are good, they are healers, they are here to be a part of the harmonizing and the healing of our planet. And did you know that we have one amongst us? She is certainly a good witch. I welcome forward Michelle Chikala.
Good morning.
She's got it. So you may remember a year ago in the fall, 2018, we always do a fall book study and have small group studies and a series that we do. And we were doing the book, The Wizard of Us by Jean Houston, which was based, of course, on The Wizard of Oz. And we had many skits along the way in that. And for some reason, I had this really clear guidance, having no idea, to ask Michelle if she would play the good witch Glinda. So Goddess knew what she was doing, right? Because it turns out it was more true to who you are than I would have ever known until now.
I am Glinda.
You are Glinda. You are, absolutely. And she just smiled all the way through it. And I said, you just seem like the right person for this. She said, I am. So tell us a little bit about your path. I know you're magical, so you can probably tell us in about 2 minutes.
Yes. Well, let me just say I'm honored to be here and share a little bit about my story. I was born in Anchorage, Alaska, and I lived in the Alaskan wilderness way out in the middle of nowhere until I was 5 in a log cabin that my dad built with no electricity and no running water until I was 5 years old. I'm sure you can all relate. Yeah. Yeah. I remember being a little kid and just going out into the forest, into the mountains and playing and just knowing that there was magic there, just knowing that there were fairies and elves and like spirits of the forest and just feeling the magic of being in nature. And that's been with me my whole life. And later on, we lived in Colorado, and my dad had a used bookstore. And I didn't grow up going to church or anything like that, but my sister and I just ravaged the occult section of his bookstore. Like the shelf was empty at all times. So we read about chakras, we read about angels, and we read about witchcraft. And when I read about witchcraft and paganism, it just hit home for me. It just was like, this is it. And then as I got a little older into my teens, I tried to take a couple psychedelic spiritual shortcuts. You know? Yeah. I tried to expand my consciousness the easy way. Unfortunately, it didn't end well for me and led me to addiction, and a horrible addiction. And when I hit bottom, when I was 25, I got into recovery. And so in recovery, I started on my spiritual path again, and I started to meditate and go to drum circles, and I became a Reiki healer, and I found Unity. And I remember the first time I came to Unity, it was in Florida, Unity of Delray Beach. My husband and I were sitting there. He was my boyfriend at the time. We were sitting there, and I heard that language, Mother, Father, God. And it just melted my heart. It was just the most healing thing for me. And then at the end of the service, Reverend Nancy Norman, she said, may the God of your heart, may the God of your understanding bless you throughout your week. And we just looked at each other and we were like, did she just say of our understanding? Like, that was just, it was amazing. And we just fell in love with that community. And I'd never had community like that before. So we became members. We got married there. We had our daughter blessed there. And then when we moved to California, we were so grateful to find Unity of Walnut Creek right down the street. And so I've been able to be a part of a community here and have my kids as part of the community that I never had, that's open and inclusive, and then at the same time follow my own path as a witch. And a few years ago, I decided I wanted to, I'd been working by myself. I wanted to meet other people who felt the same as me. And I found the Reclaiming Tradition, which is out of San Francisco and was started in the 1970s by a woman named Starhawk. Has anyone ever heard of Starhawk? Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Lots
Yay.
of people.
Yeah, so it's the idea that if the earth is sacred and the water is sacred and the air is sacred, that we take it a step further. We're willing to be activists on behalf of the earth, right? And so... yeah, so since then I've become a priestess in the Reclaiming Tradition. I'm a proud witch, and I'm also the Unity Youth Director. Yeah, and they all just kind of go so well together.
How do they go well together? Can you give us an example?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's very affirmative, right? Unity is so affirmative, and that's what when we're as a witch, as a priestess. When I'm creating a ritual, I start with the intention. What is the intention for this working? One of my favorite rituals we did last spring was called Seed Bombs for Justice, and we had people write down these things, that were bothering them, or bring newspapers with headlines, and then we took it and we ripped it up, and then we created these seed bombs, and then you had, with wildflower seeds, and then we planted them in our garden, Seed Bombs for Justice. And
Wow.
And it's the idea that of being able to be co-creators with our reality, just like we believe here at Unity. We are co-creators.
Yeah, and you bring up, I think as you're talking, Michelle, I'm thinking about activism, and you mentioned it a few minutes ago. So the idea that you can be out there on the front lines as an activist, you can be doing spiritual ritual, you can be holding prayer, you can be offering a community, a sanctuary like ours for people to rest and refill and recalibrate. So is there anything more you want to say about those two things coming together, both your spiritual tradition and path, and then, some things that you may do as an environmental activist?
Sure, yeah. So as activists, the life, an activist usually burns out within 3 years because there's just so much going on, and there's just so much going on, and we need to be supported spiritually. We need to be fed, and that's why I love Reclaiming, is that we come together to create rituals to heal ourselves, to heal the earth, and to support each other in our activism together and apart. And that's another thing that that Unity does too, is really feeds us so that we can go out into the world and do the work that we need to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you give us an example of something that we might do, that we maybe could all do? We could even do today or tomorrow morning?
Sure. Yeah, so one of my favorite magic potions is coffee. Anybody else? Yeah. So I start my day with this ritual, and I'll invite you to maybe try it tomorrow. So I stand at my coffee pot, and then I put in the grounds, and I say, "Thank you, Mother Earth." And then I put in the water, and I say, "Water is life. Water is sacred." And then I fire that sucker up, and I say, "Thank you, fire. Thank you, electricity, for making this coffee pot go." And then while it's brewing, I maybe take some breaths and try to center myself for the day. And then I pour my coffee, my magic potion, into my cup that's going to energize me and awaken my spirit. And I stir in some love, and I take a big drink, and I say, "Blessed be."
I'll come up with the tea version of that for the tea drinkers a little bit later.
Decaf works, yeah. But it's little things like that. It's about intention. It's about living with intention. You know, making your eggs in the morning and maybe taking the eggshells out and putting them in the garden as an offering to Mother Earth for feeding us, and we feeding her, you know, and just little things like that. Sweeping the floor before my friends come over and really clearing out that energy. Yeah, we use brooms, right? Yeah. little things that we can do with intention, with mindfulness. Remembering to bring our grocery bags to the grocery store is a magical thing, right?
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And honoring it as a magical thing.
And
I mean,
honoring
that's
as
the key. That's
yes,
the key, isn't
intention,
it?
yes.
Yeah, beautiful. There's so much we can do, and you've given us a lot of good ideas in a short time.
Thank you.
Thanks so much for sharing your path with us.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that, yes, we're going to go get some children. We just got carried away here as we're chatting, so we could talk about more.
Well, I just want to talk a little bit more about activism and ways that we are activists. I think that to have hope today is an act of activism. And when we come together like we are right now, and we, put the stigma aside, and we really have conversations, whenever we see divisiveness, and we decide to have a conversation about it instead of going with our old bias or anything like that, is an act of activism. And so I think that we're all activists here. Anytime that we're inclusive, tolerant, we are being activists. And I think especially with these, I feel like an activist every Sunday when I come in and work with these kids and teach them reverence for the earth and affirmative prayer, and just to be tolerant and inclusive is an act of activism, sacred activism. So,
very much so.
Yeah.
Well, I think ritual is such a key part of obviously what you do, and you shared a little bit with us. Are the rituals usually organically created, or are they rituals you've done over and over? Your coven, which is your group of you want to say a little bit about your coven?
Sure. So I have a I'm bi-covenal. I have a new moon coven and a full moon coven. Both have very different energies. And what it is a small group of women. It doesn't have to necessarily be women, but mine is. And we meet in our living rooms, and we share about our month, and we support each other in each other's healing. And it's really wonderful to work with a group of women who I've known for a long time, and they can say things like, Michelle, last December you kind of went through something like that. Do you think this might have to do with, we are mirrors for each other. And so just to work together with a group of powerful, wise women on a monthly basis is a gift and a blessing, and something that I longed for a very long time. Yeah.
Wonderful. Well, you're one of those wise women, clearly.
Thank you.
So I know you're blessing their lives too, as you are ours and all the children who we're going to invite in. Michelle has a book to share with with all of us, a story for the children and all of us. And tell us, what is the name of the book?
Oh, so this is who I want to be when I grow up. It's The Laughing Witch.
Yeah, come on up. This is better, probably, because it's on a stand.
Kiddos, you guys want to sit so you can see me? I'm going to read you a story. How are you? I missed you today. I was out here hanging with the adults.
Yeah, clearly.
How you doing? Good? Did you guys make a potion today? You just played? Okay. Well, we're going to make You what? Oh, you made a wand? A magic wand? Nice. This book is called The Laughing Witch. Move this just a little. There we go. Once upon a time, when witches were wild and free, there lived a laughing witch beneath the witch's tree. Are witches scary?
No.
Yes? No? They're funny. This is a laughing witch. She goes, ha ha ha. She had a great big cauldron and a great big cat, and she rode a great big broomstick, and she wore a great big... Yep. Hee hee hee. This witch is very crafty. She knew the hidden path. She understood which flowers would make a person laugh. She laughed when she was flying. She laughed when she made spells. If you heard her laugh, you'd be sure to laugh as well. Can I hear your laugh? Ha 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 ha. She knew the forest backwards. She loved the bugs and weeds. Each one had its values. All were treasured seeds. Hee 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 hee. Can I hear your witch's laugh? Oh, you sound beautiful. She spoke to furry creatures, the winged ones and the clawed. She practiced gentle kindness and reverence she adored. To begin her spells, she would cry, honor the earth, honor the sky. Honor the north, the east, the south, honor the west came out of her mouth. She's calling in the directions. She called to the ones who lived before. I welcome your wisdom, your love I adore. She's calling in the ancestors, the grandmothers and the grandfathers who have come before us. In a minute of silence, she opened her heart. Then all was ready for fire to start. When the flames were jumping, the cauldron hot, she added her spices, preparing her pot. She followed each spell with precision and care, never wasting ingredients, all precious and rare. Ha, 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 ha. She knew spells to fix bones, spells to build parts, spells to change lives, and spells to mend hearts. Spells to break curses, spells to change moods, spells to heal illness, and spells to cook food. Any of you guys ever made a magic soup? No? No? I love magic
Not yet.
soup. Once ready, all simmered, she took from the pot the smallest of offerings to bless the whole lot. I thank all of life for giving to me these fruits of the forest. I give back to the tree. See, she's giving it to the tree, little offering. Only then would she offer her medicine infused with love, care, and honor to all those who'd queued. So see all the people lining up to receive her healing? Because witches are healers. She finished her work at the end of the day. With the sun setting slowly, she packed things away. She's cleaning up. And as she washed her pot and swept her floor, she gave thanks to life. Oh, life I adore. Hee hee hee. I love that you nourish my pot and my cat, my patience, my friends, my broom, and my hat. Thank you for being so loving to me. Thank you, great life. May all beings be free. Blessed be.
Let's bless our children and Michelle. We'll do the blessing now, yeah. Together. Michelle, children, and teachers, we love you, we bless you, we appreciate you, and we behold the divine light within you. Thank you. You can come sit down. No, just go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah, you can skip it.
Well, thank you, Michelle. You've forever changed my image of a witch. I will forever think of you as delightful and life-affirming. Our prayer chaplains are available after this service to provide personal prayer support. If you're a prayer chaplain serving today, please stand. Our prayer chaplains wear the lavender stoles. Whether you have a joy or a concern on your heart today, praying with our prayer chaplains is a powerful opportunity to have your intentions raised up into consciousness. And now it's time for our prosperity celebration. Now let's open our hearts to the practice of giving. I invite you to prepare your gifts as we align with the universal law of circulation. As we give, we shall receive. In truth, there is no lack or limitation. Abundance is our true nature. For your convenience, there's a variety of ways to give financially to this community. For electronic giving, you may download the Give app or take an envelope from the clipboard in the back of each chair in front of you. Those of you at home can click on the Give Here or Donate button on the Watch Live page. I invite you to take your tithe or offering in your hand and repeat our affirmation with me together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful.
Takes me, I got to follow it along. It's a brand new country, go singing my song. Spread a little sunshine on these stormy seas. Wherever the road takes me, well, that's where I'll be. Got to go to a dusty highway, play another show. Don't know the reason, but I got to believe. Wherever my heart leads me, well, that's where I'll be.
All right, Carrie, Dusty, and Dan, and I always want to say Dan. I don't know. I'm looking right at Larry.
That's Larry.
That would be Larry. I know him well. Oh, thank you, Spirit, for this abundant good, for all that we have shared together this morning, for all that we are together in the world, for the blessings we take out into the world. Let's bless it together. We give thanks for the ever-increasing, constant flow of absolute good in our lives now. I welcome you to, thank you. I welcome you to take your neighbor's hand as we close out with our prayer of protection and our peace song. Together, the light of God surrounds us. I am light. The love of God enfolds us. I am love. The power of God protects us. I am power. The presence of God watches over us. I am presence. Wherever we are, God is. I am divine.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God ever present, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with
We have an affirmation to share to end our day together. Let's say this. I help harmonize humanity and earth with indigenous and pagan allies. And together have fun and spread joy. Thank you so much. Wow, that was a lot too. I wish they would turn me off.
Thank you.